So when you have a family and you realize that every single member is going out of the house to go to a football game except you.
Hey everyone, it is Nicole again. I hope you're all doing well. So today I wanted to tell you a story. It's quite electrifying. That is so corny. I'm going to tell this from my point of view first. In the middle of August of 2014, I was standing at my stove cooking dinner. My oldest daughter was at the refrigerator getting her dad some ice water, and my husband and my two other children were in the living room. So I am at the stove, and I had turned the stove off. So the last thing I remember is grabbing the pan, grabbing a big spoon, and putting the spoon in the pan. And I remember a scream. The next thing I knew, I was on the floor in my kitchen, about 5 feet away from the stove. My head hurt, my back hurt. My husband was standing over me or kneeling over me, screaming, and I couldn't hear him. All I could hear was a ringing in my ears. I look over to my left and I see my son just sitting there, just in shock. I see my youngest daughter kind of rocking on the floor, and I see my oldest sitting with her legs crossed, and she was also rocking and she was praying. And I thought it was weird that my husband had two phones in his hand. He's kind of like on my phone and on his phone. And the reason why he has two phones is because 911 and my mother, who lived about 5 minutes away. I come to and I black out. I come to and I black out. Then I remember yelling, and I remember yelling, "No, I don't have health insurance. I can't have an ambulance. I'm fine." And he said, "I don't give a damn about insurance," or something like that. And I remember thinking in my head, why is my husband so upset he's swearing? Like, my husband never swears, and damn is a swear to him. So I was like, wow, something serious is going on. I come to, finally, I can start to hear. I remember the firemen getting to the house and the EMTs. I remember them talking to my husband about the house, and they were walking all over my house. And I remember thinking, they have their heavy work boots upstairs in my room. They're gonna get my rugs all dirty. I was so annoyed because, priorities, people. So the EMTs want me to go to the hospital, and I'm saying no. I know how expensive an ambulance is. And if I'm sitting in a chair, I'm okay. When the EMT tells your husband, "Please promise us you're going to get to the hospital," that's when you start thinking, okay, but I feel fine. I mean, my head hurt, definitely my head hurt, the back of my head, and my back hurt a little bit, not too bad. But I find out that as I was putting the spoon into the pan, lightning hit my house. It hit it through the cable internet thingy in the front of our house, and instead of it going out to the copper wiring on the other side of the house, it actually went through the stove and in through me, and it came out my left foot. I actually had a spot on my left big toe that felt like a sunburn for about 2 weeks. So yeah, I technically was hit by lightning while in my house. It threw me back about 5 feet onto the ground, which is why my head hurt. I ended up getting a concussion. My oldest saw it. That affected her in ways that I don't think I fully even understand. We've spoken about it a lot, but I don't think I really understand just how much it's affected her. At the time, my husband was in the living room with the two little kids, and the reason why he was in there with them is because the storm was so bad, and my son is terrified of storms. So my husband was like, it's fine, nothing's gonna hurt us. And then Mom gets struck by lightning. So he comes running in, he throws my son, he comes running in, and he's trying to, revive me, he doesn't know what's going on. Everything in the house was fried, every appliance. So as I woke up, I forgot to mention this, the refrigerator was spitting ice out of the ice maker thingy. The house alarm was going off. All of the fire alarms were going off. We ended up losing our dishwasher, our washer and dryer, all of our TVs, one DVD player, refrigerator, stove, no, that still worked, microwave. Pretty much anything plugged in was destroyed. Weeks later, we moved a couch in the office, and under it was a surge protector, and we saw that it had started a fire and it burnt the rug. But the way the couch was, it must have been so flat on it that it put itself out, thank God. So we get to the hospital and I'm aggravated. I'm just really aggravated because I feel like this is just a giant waste of money. You know, I feel physically fine other than my head. And I mean, you can't do anything for a concussion. You just take it easy. The doctor comes in and, you know, everybody's coming in to talk to me because it's like, oh, the lady who was struck by lightning. The doctor came in and said, okay, well, we have all your results. And I said, I'm fine, aren't I? She's like, well, your results are normal. So I was like, so I was annoyed. I was even more annoyed. So at that point I was like, okay, it's time to go. Wait, it's time to go. They wouldn't let me go. So they had to talk to me. So basically they told me that I needed to take it easy, that my heart had just been through a trauma, that my brain had just been through a trauma, and they don't know how it could affect me. Well, August of 2014, I was beginning my 3rd semester in community college. I never went to college. I graduated high school, and a year after high school, I became pregnant with my daughter. I just went that route instead. So I figured, you know, I'm 30-something years old, 32 at the time that I started college. I'm gonna do this. I wanted to get my master's in counseling. So that was when I realized that I had some issues with my injury. I couldn't retain anything. I couldn't remember words. I would be looking at a chair. In my head say, can you move that chair? But out loud I would say, can you move that? And the word chair would not come out of my mouth. That happened all the time. I would say that took about 2 years to go away. And still to this day, it happens every once in a while. I don't have a problem with words that I know, like chair, table, whatever, but sometimes, like right now, I can't think of the word, non-physical things. So, see, it's happening right this second. You get to see it. I can't think of the word, but things that are not physical. So things in theory or ethereal things, or that's not even the word I want, but we're gonna go with it. I still struggle finding those words. So thesaurus is my BFF. We're like this. I use it all the time. I am a perfectionist when it comes to school because the first time I was not, and I saw what could happen when you don't apply yourself. I was holding strong at a 4.0 entering my 3rd semester. I was taking a psychology class. I had taken a ton of them at this point, and my instructor was a scientist of neurology, something like that. So I was like, hey, can I talk to you? And she basically said, you know, the synapses in your brain were screwed up. It could take your whole life for them to repair themselves. So one of the classes I was taking was Spanish, just because I needed a foreign language. And I remember sitting in class thinking, I'm gonna fail this class. I can't retain anything. And a foreign language is memory, 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 memory. You can't figure out a foreign language. You just have to remember it and practice it. My first quiz, I got a C. And for me to get a C in community college, I'm 30, at that point, 34 years old. That's not happening. No. I knew right then and there that something was seriously messed up in my brain. So I finished out the semester. However, I dropped Spanish class because I knew it would bring down my GPA, and I just couldn't deal with that at that point. I knew I was gonna stop college, but the extra blow of failing a class or getting a D or a C, I couldn't deal with it. So I finished up that semester with a 4.0 again, amazingly enough, and I never went back. The injury from the lightning created issues in my brain where critical thinking has been badly damaged, and that was something that I enjoyed doing before. I really enjoyed having deep discussions about everything, and now I can have a discussion about it, but I a lot of times can't articulate my words. And a lot of times I can't articulate my words or the basis of what I'm trying to say. You know, my brain knows it, but I can't get it out. It's kind of warm out here. I started to notice that I would get very annoyed very quickly at things. Another thing, which is probably the #1 greatest thing that happened, is that I am much more laid back. My kids would tell you that I am way more laid back. I don't freak out about things. I'm pretty easygoing now with them. So I don't know. They would think it's amazing. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it'd be easier if I could just like lay the law down, but I still do a lot of times, but not as much as I used to. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this today was because I just passed my 3-year anniversary. That day always comes around, and Time Hop is a great reminder of everything you've gone through since social media began. It just reminds me that I am in a minority of people who live through lightning strikes. People who get struck by lightning in their house generally fire start or they, are killed. And I wasn't. By all accounts, I'm fine. I struggle with things with my brain, but I am believing that I'm going to be 100% healed And over the last year, I have become much better. I just keep believing that. Today, I was reminded about my injury because I had an issue with work. There was just these emails that kept coming through, and it was all about this one process. And the process itself is super simple, but it's taken me 2 years to figure it out, because every time the stuff comes over my emails with the processes, it's like the process is in there, but it's got all this other stuff in there, you know, and it's very hard for me to kind of pull that out and put it over here and figure it out over here, and kind of leave the rest. So I was on the phone with my boss today, and I don't know, it just kind of hit me that, you know, I still have some figuring out to do with this whole lightning thing, this whole injury. I do struggle sometimes. Most of the time I'm fine, but there are days where I kind of remember how I used to be, and I remember what a deep thinker I used to be. And it's not that I can't do it, it just takes a lot of effort for me. And even talking about it right now is getting me emotional, and I don't cry in front of people, so I'm okay with how I am because it's how I am. There are times that I wish that I could go back and not be cooking dinner that night. Anyway, it's kind of cathartic for me to talk about it because, you know, a lot of times when I talk about it, it's like, whoa, that's so cool, oh my god. Okay, it's cool, but the aftermath of something cool sucks. It really does. So if you've ever been through a brain injury, I feel your pain. I can relate to the fact that you look fine on the outside, so people think you're fine, and a lot of times you're not, and it's not something you can help. Your brain is just doing its own thing, and your mouth is trying to catch up, your ears are trying to catch up. Anyway, didn't mean to be such a downer today. I'm still very happy and still very joyful, you know. Jesus is my savior, so that's the most important thing, right? So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye.